Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Spelunky 2, one of the most notorious roguelikes in its ability to stoke the flames of even the most stoic of individuals until they become as unhinged and manic as Wings of Redemption.
I just can't do it. I can't take this shit no more, man.
So, after streaming it for a few times, I finally got a game session which was worth making a video on. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is that video. Full of intrigue, exploration, teamwork, betrayal, and dare I say, seduction. To start, we went to the dwelling. Now, your goal in each floor is to try and leave before the ghost shows up, get the dog to the exit to gain some health, and get as much money as you can to get your grubby little mitts on to spend at the shop later on. Granted, there are times when these priorities do bend a little bit, but for the most part, that's what you should try and do each floor. Got it? Good. Now, let's start this off well, by immediately getting hit by a spider. And trust me, after playing this game for a bit, getting hits like these early on will just make you so bloody depressed. In fact, so depressed, that ending the run there and then is the only logical course of action. This game is also a great educational game actually, teaching you a lesson in physics, funnily enough, that every action has an equal and opposite reactive force. Though, as someone who takes physics, it seems that that lesson didn't quite sink in for me, as I became a totally accurate Italian in Rage. TM.
Brillante, brillante, ratatratante, oi, 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 oi.
But after those inconveniences, we nearly got blown up with a random troll bomb from a chest. But, you know what? It was all good, as we finished floor 1-1 with 24 bloody grand. Floor 1-2 was largely uneventful, save for even more bloody money. Then, on floor 1-3, I don't know why, but I decided to make out with an arrow trap, despite knowing full well that it was there, and even while playing, I was literally thinking, before that jump, that I needed to try and avoid it. I swear I'm getting dumber by the day. Also, in another 150 IQ moment, I needed to bomb through this wall because I'd accidentally gotten myself stuck by dropping this big old wooden thing on the ground. But by doing so, I catapulted this torch that was on the ground directly into my sphincter, causing it to smoulder and splinter. I then had another run that was in large part one of the most average, middle-of-the-road runs you could possibly have, in essence actually making it special in its amount of mediocrity. That was until I found the telepack, which lets you teleport, shocking I know. But anyway, I wanted to escort the ghost pot to the end of the level, because the ghost pot spawns the ghost when broken, but also gives you 5 grand. So if you break it right before leaving, then there's basically zero risk, and you get a free 5 grand. But anyway, I plan to use the telepack to bring the pot down, but to use the telepack, you need to have already jumped and then press A again, and the telepack automatically activates if you're about to get hit by something. For those of you who can see the arrow trap on screen, you could probably guess what's about to happen. So I jumped using the telepack, but I didn't press the second A in time. So the teleport happened when the arrow would have hit me, but as a result, the arrow absolutely nailed the ghost pot, causing the ghost to spawn, and, well, yeah, you can, I think you can guess what happened there, can't you? So I then did a few more runs where literally nothing interesting happened. But then someone with the Twitch name Proman, or the exceptionally catchy name Spelunker4DC13323, joined my game. And now, let's use the power of teamwork, friendship and rainbow trumps to go goddamn deeper. And they were an absolute speedrunner, and we were absolutely blitzkrieging through the first few floors. So much so there were barely any hitches. That was until I broke the first ghost pot, and they were AFK. So I just had to sit there and watch in agony as they got gobbled up by a ghost. Now, why didn't I just think to go through the exit to save them? I have no clue. But I revived him in a coffin afterwards, so it was all good. Or at least it was until we got to the first boss, and I failed to hit them, not once, not twice, not thrice, but quars! And I could only hit him on the 5th bloody bomb. Second to actually being dead, I think that is the worst attempt I've ever had, but actually killed the boss. We then moved on to the volcano, and I will say that this area, at least for me, is way easier than the first area. Even if there are way more insta-kills than there are in the first area, it's just way less cluttered, if that's a good way to put it. Also, those dart traps are finally bloody gone, which is so good. And honestly, this went off largely without a hitch. Well, despite the fact I wanted to go and sacrifice a dog to the altar, and it took me until I got all the way to the altar to realise that the dog had already saved its bacon and walked through the exit. But even that's just a minor inconvenience, really. We then moved on to the Olmec head, the second boss. Now, I'm going to level with you guys. I've never actually beaten this guy before. I've only ever gotten past the first phase before. So, today was going to be a bloody trip. One of the worst things about Olmec fights in multiplayer is that you can't really tell which one of you he's targeting sometimes. As here, I went under him to hopefully trigger his stomp down so that he'd break the ground and we could get further down, but nope. He just hops up to go and kill the other guy, even though they look like they're cousins or something, so you'd think we had a bit more common ground. But regardless, we got past the first phase and started off on the second phase by the other guy immediately breaking Olmec's weird purple lights, causing him to stop down, and killing me instantly. Hashtag salty not salty. Honestly though, I didn't really mind as this guy seemed to know what they were doing, and they sure did as the second phase went down even faster than the first one. So, imagine my shock when he just goes back to the first phase again. Safe to say, I was completely bamboozled, but when it started spewing UFOs out of his backside, I was both a whole lot more confused, but also, in a weird way, a whole lot less confused. But the worst thing is, for even someone who is good at this game, is that even a single mistake, no matter how small, can be fatal. As here, they hit the UFO slightly too soon, and bam, instant death. No takesies backsies. But it's here where we introduce a new character to our tale, that being Benny O on Twitch. And with the three of us, we surely couldn't lose. And honestly, it did feel like there was some truth to that, as by floor 1-4, we had a small army, complete with a mercenary, a space-age telepack, and turkey mounts up the wazoo. Safe to say, this boss fight was gonna be wait. What? Yeah, so turns out you can skip 90% of the levels just by using a telepack. And the idle guy did that for 2-1-2. But thankfully for 2-2, they decided to wait while I was messing around in the challenge room. Though, if he would have done, he could have saved me from my own stupidity, because while they were kind enough to teach me how the rebirth challenge worked using only up and down gestures from their Spelunky character, which is quite impressive, they did not, however, teach me how gravity worked. So we got yet another physics lesson, and we got a demonstration of what would have happened if instead of an apple hitting Newton, it was a massive metal cube instead. And after they revived me, we made the morally airtight decision of sacrificing our mercenary and mount, who had served us all this time, for a pair of spiky shoes. Listen here. Okay, that might not seem great so far, but the rewards for sacrificing things get better as you go on, so it makes sense. Kinda. Right before the Olmec boss, though, the idle guy made the somewhat inadvisable decision of teleporting directly into an enemy that explodes on death. So you can probably guess what happened there. The first phase, as usual, went off easily enough, and the second phase, despite getting absolutely walloped by a rock travelling at Mach 5 from 16 miles away, went pretty well too, especially after figuring out that I could just stand on top of him and let the ghost shoot ice at his weird purple-pink orb things. No, I still can't tell if they're more purple or more pink, and yes, it does infuriate me. Now I was in phase 3. Green was Lord knows where, and I was by far the worst player here. But regardless, it was going quite well. Well, kinda. I was doing serviceably, we'll call it. But I went to jump on another UFO, and I got absolutely cooked by a ghost as they blew it out from under my feet. And then Green came down to finish the fight for us, but they were about to get hit by a UFO. But, thankfully, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the telepack was gracious enough to boot in and save them. And then there was this other run where I had the most severe choke known to man. But this run was different, as the other two went to Dracula's castle, where there are tons of vampires. But honestly, it probably wasn't a great idea to go there, as not only was there not a lot of loot, and a whole lot of health was lost, but also the little loot we did get was lost when Green accidentally died in the magma. But to be fair, it was pretty cool, I would have done the same. Our next Olmec fight again ended in disaster, with me getting abused by a bomb, and then Green getting killed by, technical difficulties. This next and final run, however, was certainly very different. First off, we changed it up and went to the jungle, which is like the volcano, but it's a lot more cramped, full of enemies, full of traps, and oh, did I mention fucking spikes? Gold Guy then decided to further their MVP status by finding the black market for us, and then cheesing the ever-living hell out of the shopkeeper by dropping a boomerang on him over and over and over again, so we got a free 40 grand item. But not only that, they were so damn chad, they didn't even take the 40 grand item and let the green one take it. So now it's time for the climactic Olmec fight once again, and during the fight, they found this weird bear thing which is absolutely terrifying. But you know what? I don't even care, because they beat the first, second, and third phase. They then found this weird cave after Olmec sank into lava, where they got an ankh, which gives them a second life if they die, which isn't super impactful in multiplayer, as surviving in multiplayer is relatively easy, but in single player, that must be amazing. We then made it to this weird area, which is basically ancient China if climate change got bad as hell. Who am I kidding? If. Also, the idol here used a little exploit where if you whip the dice on its way down, it will therefore hit either a 1 or a 6, hence meaning that the probability of rolling a 7 and getting an item is a half, compared to 1/6 that it would normally be. Yes, I did look up those odds, the 1/6 I mean. Don't judge, I really don't want to do maths right now. But regardless, we won a place to Madame Tusk's Pleasure Palace, due to our totally legitimate methods, wink wink nudge nudge. On floor 4 too, they found a clone gun, and so they cloned the jetpack they won last floor. So bish bash bosh, we're all flying super soldiers now, true Fallout 4 power armor style. Although I sure as hell wasn't acting like it, because I got hit by this one hermit crab so many times. And underwater they then massacred this massive fish. And listen, I don't care how endangered that thing is. It's disgusting and needs to be put the hell down. And for floor 4-3 and floor 4-4, try saying that 3 times fast, we were a well-oiled machine, with Idol being the one who rushes ahead, me being the one who slaughters weaker enemies with the camera so they can actually do their job, and Green being the support character, ready to jump in case one of us messes up, cloning gun in hand. Also, look at all the bombs we have here. 78 in total, I kid you not. Moving on to the Frost Caves, we found a cave within a cave, a Yeti cave, and also, I'm so sorry, but how in the hell are you supposed to do this all without a jetpack? Some of these jumps feel like they're forcing you to take fall damage. On the next floor though, the game absolutely screwed us, as it just straight up broke the ghost part only 5 seconds in. None of us hit it, and no enemies hit it, so I'm not entirely sure what was going on there, but regardless, we had to skedaddle like we've never skedaddled before. Or at least, they had to. I had to just keep the ghost on me while they were figuring out what to do, because my most prudent skill has got to be distraction. I mean, it's on my CV for a reason. After dodging a few more lasers, I found this weird room full of pots. But before I could desecrate ancient culture too much, the black screen of the next level pulled me into the night. In the next level, we made it to the Pleasure Palace, where we got more food than one could possibly indulge in a lifetime. I mean, to be fair, you don't get to be of her voluptuosity, yes, that's a real word, without more cake than could feed a small tribe of Nicocados for weeks. There was then this absolutely massive mermaid lady, no doubt providing more fuel for many a degenerate DeviantArt user's spank bank. But thankfully, the idol guy nukes the hell out of it before it could breed too many neckbeards. But after putting her down, we decided to ride on some bubbles all the way to the top. And from here, I decided to just follow the other guy's lead and start throwing ropes upwards. But evidently, giving myself any sort of responsibility was a bad idea. In fact, I'll just let you all watch the shit show that happened as it happened live.
Oh no 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 no.
So, after that, the other two decided to just go through the exit, which was right there the whole time, apparently. And after going through here, that was literally the end of the game. And so we found my parents, though I was already dead, so that was a rip. So the two characters, not related to my parents at all, got to meet them. You'll love to see it, ladies and gentlemen. Also, where's the mum? I guess she's just dead. Screw it, I guess. But thankfully, we did get something out of this whole experience. That being one of the people I was playing with told me how to select the type of pets we can find. Not just the dog anymore, we can have all of the pets. Triple S tier stream now, don't at me, mixed pets are absolutely goated.